Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to FranFunnel Live, episode 11. Wow, we conceived of this a short while ago, and I can't believe we're already to 11 episodes. This morning, I have Anna Flowers, marketer extraordinaire here at the Franchise Help and FranFunnel family of companies. What we want to talk about today is about writing email. I think we can all probably admit to each other that the vast majority of email we get is bad. And that's not good. So we just kind of want to sit down for a few minutes and kind of talk about what does make a good email and how we think about it. So Anna, I'll start fairly simply. You write a lot of emails, I know this. So you sit down, it's time to write a good email. What is going through your mind? How do you think about it?
So the first thing that I tend to think about is, what do I want for this person to do with this email? Do I want them to actually read it all the way through? Do I just want them to click the button whether or not they read it? What kind of engagement do I need to get out of it? And the second thing I'm going to think about is, who's getting the email and do they care? So the major concern is to write an email that is going to that the person I want to care about it is going to want to read. And the people that I don't actually care about reading it, I don't really care if they don't like my email. If they don't open it, that's fine with me.
Interesting. We'll come back to that second point. I want to start with the first one, though. So you said you might not want people to read the whole thing. So you know, I think that's going to be a little counterintuitive for the people looking. So what do you mean when you say, when you're thinking about that, I just want them to push the button? What does that mean?
Yeah. So I sometimes will send an email that the thing I want them to do is go convert on a landing page. And I think it's easier to think about in an e-commerce context. You just want them to go buy the thing. When that's what you want, you don't really care if they read your whole treatise on whatever it is that you have to say about what you want them to do.
Right.
If they're sold in the subject line of like, hey, I want you to click this button and go give us your email address on this page somewhere. Obviously, we have their email address already, but whatever we want them to give us.
Sure.
If they're sold just from that, I want the button to be really big and really obvious, and for them to be able to just click it right away.
Nice.
If they're good, go for it. Just do it.
We've talked about BABs, big ass buttons before. Certainly relevant now. All right, so the second point, which I think is going to be interesting to the group. So you said you got to put yourself in the shoes of the person receiving the email. Who are they? What do they want? Whatever it may be. So sometimes you're sending emails. I know for you and other people out there, to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. So kind of hard to do that. So how do you think through that? Got to be a tough mental exercise.
Yeah, it's kind of about like figuring out what your value proposition is for these people. Most of the people who get that email are not going to want to read it.
Okay.
And then figuring out how to say what you need for them to get how to say what you need to get across in a way that they actually are going to care about. And industry standard ranges a lot, but you're going to end up getting like a 25% open rate if you're amazing at your job. And so like most people are just going to see the subject line and be like, I don't care about that. It's fine. Actually, I used a subject line recently that just said, don't open this email if you aren't X. Which it was just like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to burn through my list if you don't care about what I'm talking about. It's fine. If you don't want to read it, I'll send you another email later that you're going to care about.
I like that. So when you, obviously, not in your personal life, your professional life, you also receive a lot of emails, right? So you're going to be inspired by the emails you receive. How do you know when you get an email and you're like, oh, this is a great email? Like, what's generally going through your mind? What are you impressed by when somebody else sends a great email?
It's usually it's when it's in response to something that I've done. So my favorites, actually, this happened the other day. I got an email from a company that I love, and they're always sending me updates, and I always click their emails. And they sent me yet another update that I was interested in. They had a promotion for something that I was super into, which they knew because they were tracking my habits. And I clicked on it, and I happened to look up at the URL, and it just said, highly engaged customers. Yes.
Smart.
Thank God. I was so happy to receive this email.
Right.
And I was just like I am a super engaged customer on their list, so they email me once every day, once every other day.
Right.
And it's always something new. It's always good images, good text, talking about stuff that I've actually engaged with before.
Sure. One of the things that belies, I think, what Anna's referring to is I think a lot of people in the franchise space, they believe at some point emails are just added to the list, right? The list is this kind of thing where almost email's going to die, I'll say. And then all this thoughtfulness about the customer journey, why they gave you their contact information to begin with, what the page would have said, what they've done, kind of goes out the window, right? And well, I think we understand at some point way down the road, you may need to do that. We don't have infinite segmentation and complexity, but it sounds like you're advocating for like, that seems like a really naive way to treat people who are going out of your way to provide their contact information for you.
Totally. If you got somebody's email address because they signed up on your website and they got there organically, they found your actual website and like went to it and were really interested in hearing from you, you should be reaching out to them really quickly in a really personalized way.
Sure.
And letting them know like how they're going to hear from you going forward. But if they sort of like passively signed up to your list, maybe they signed up with somebody else who shares a list with you, that they signed up for something that said, we're gonna sign you up for this and this and this. Great. But you also maybe want to be more careful about how you introduce yourself to that person. Say like, hey, you're hearing from us because X.
Sure.
Like, here's how we got you.
Exactly.
And think about what they were actually asking for. If you got multiple landing pages that people sign up on, you probably want to have a different stream for those different signups.
Makes sense to me. We'll go out on this. Going to put you in a hypothetical situation. Someone from the franchise space walks up to you and says, Anna, oh my gosh, I've read all your emails. That would be difficult, but I've read all your emails. Can you give me a trick? The one thing that I may not know about how to write a good email or how emails work that you're like, yes, the thing I would tell them is this.
Yeah, honestly, try writing it as though you're writing it to somebody that you know, somebody that you're friends with professionally, you interact with. Don't write it as though you're writing it Mad Men style as a sales pitch. You know, write it in a way that you're like, I want to inform you about something that's going on. Write it in your own voice, because if you write it as though you're a marketer, people know. People don't want to read it. They know when they're being sold to.
Sure.
They want to read something that's interesting and that you wrote in a personal way.
Of course.
Just let it flow the way you would if you were emailing Eli.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. We've talked about it before, but email has kind of turned into be like the 21st century artistic canvas, right? You know, especially people who spend their time in front of a computer all day have all sorts of different options when it comes to emails. And I do agree with you that perhaps the big miss is they think that email writing is different than talking, or email writing is different than communication. And while there are different things about the way, I mean, obviously it's asynchronous and interpersonal, or not interpersonal, but I do agree with you that it'd be nice if people just tried to get along and be friendly by email every once in a while. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hopefully this email changes the world, or this video changes the world, and emails are just like 10 times better for everybody.
Right away.
That's what we hope.
All of them.
But we'll have you on again soon. Thanks for coming.